Hello everyone and good evening. Welcome to the show. This is Andy Shed Live Series 7 and we're up finally to episode 40. Hello everyone and welcome to the show. Yes, we've made it, episode 40. Can you believe it? No thanks to some of the technical companies and that out there, but we have managed to get as far as episode 40. So welcome to the show. And have you had a YouTube notification today telling you that I'm on? Because I haven't, and I normally get one, and I haven't. But I see we've got various people who are here today. I've got to look down here for the chat this time because I've got it in a different place because it's plugged in and charging up. So it looks like we've got Fat Hobbit, we've got Dominic, we've got Claus, we've got Paul Nolan, we've got Jimmy Myers. Who else have we got? Oh, we've got Christopher 2000 here as well. Christopher's been out looking at railway. I'm throwing my phone about now. Christopher's been out looking at railway signal telephones and things again. He says he saw a Ericsson N1240A signal post telephone at Southern Cross Spencer Street Station with no handset inside the box. He has sent a picture of it to me. I'll show you a picture of it probably next week now because I have to load them into the system here. And Spig021 is here as well, he says. Yeah, if I've not mentioned you, it's because you've not said anything in the chat because I can't actually see a list of who's here until you actually mention something in the chat. So, hello, Spig. Right. So, right, we're in business, are we then, for today? Does it look like it's going to work, do we think, today? Don't know. Don't know, we'll see. We've had all sorts of trials and tribulations with Twitch and YouTube and all sorts. Tried setting Twitch up this week, then found out that it's doing that a lot of people are leaving Twitch because Twitch has been bought by Amazon and they've started running mid-roll ads in the live streams that are upsetting like the world apparently. So although I was thinking of going to Twitch, now it looks like Twitch is probably not a viable option to go to. So the search continues, but for now, fingers crossed, it seems I might have managed to make YouTube work for now. Right, Chris says he was converting his GP0706 phone to dial DTMF, not pulse, with a pulse to tone converter. Well, why? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want it to dial tone instead of pulse? Dominic says, did you see the photos of my other telephone items? I believe I did, Dominic. Are we talking 200 series here? Because you sent me some pictures last week, Dominic. I couldn't show everyone last week, but I can show everyone now. This is Dominic's 200 series that he's recently restored. And it looks quite good, that. In fact, it looks very good. It's got the proper chords on it and everything by the looks of things. So yeah, quite impressed with that, Dominic. Let's see, this is another one, and there's the drawer, the little card drawer with all the sort of local dialing codes and things in it. What they tend to call the cheese drawer here in the UK these days. You'll notice that the front of that drawer, if you look at it, is bent. The little black sort of facing on that drawer is bent. This is a problem that happens because although the most part of the phone is Bakelite, that little bit isn't. And also the bit the handset rests on isn't Bakelite either. There's some other form of early plastic and they're not very stable. You know, they're a plastic that warps and does all kinds of strange things. So that warped draw front is a common problem, but it is also a sign that you've probably got an original one. So in some ways it's bad, and in other ways it's good. And there is the number on the handset. You'll see it says it's a 164. That is actually the number for the handset, I believe. I believe they called the handset telephone 164. GPO PH45. Is it PH or FH45? I can't see. I'm looking at it too small a monitor. FH45, I think it is. It says on there. It says GPO, then number 164, which I think is the handset number. So that's Dominic's phone that is he's recently restored, and it looks pretty good. I think you've made a good job of that, Dominic. It looks all right to me, does that? So yeah, I'll have to get on with doing mine now. You're kind of putting me to shame there with that. Right. A few other things to tell you. As always, if you want to get in touch with us, the way to do it is to go to the website and click on the contact us form thing. andyshed.coldpress.net is the web address. If you are having trouble with the website, bear with us. I've been having trouble with it myself today. It's nothing to do with me. It's something to do with the web hosts, a company called Crystal Hosting. I've sent them a support ticket about it, as they call it, so I'm now waiting to see what happens. But yeah, we have been having trouble getting it. It's been throwing what they call a 503 error. If you're getting a thing on your browser that says 503 error, server busy or something like that, it's not just you. Lots of people have been getting it for the last 24 hours or so, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but we are working on it, so don't worry too much. If you can get onto the website, if you do have any luck getting on andyshed.coldpress.net, you'll see the new page on there. If you look across the menu, that says live on it. So if you go to andyshed.coldpress.net/live, remember the /live bit, then hopefully, fingers crossed, you should be able to watch this show when it goes out on a Sunday night live on that page, rather than watching it in YouTube if you want to. The only downside of it is, on that page you can't take part in the chat yet. Again, we're working on it. Yeah, Spig says your site was down earlier today. Yes, yeah, that's the problem I've just been talking about, Spig. Yeah. It should be up again now, I'm told, but when I tried it just before I came on air, that's why I was a bit late, it was working better than it was earlier today, because earlier today it wasn't working at all. Now it's kind of half working, it seems, so we're still having problems with it. Dominic says FH on that phone handset was apparently Holborn in London, he thinks. Oh no, Holloway, he says. It was GPO Holloway, FH. So the H was for Holloway. I wonder what the F was for. Cool. And at least the chat is in the right order as well this week. 14 people watching so far. So yeah, we'll keep going. We'll keep going while we're winning, shall we, today? Right. I've got something a little bit different. For you today. And the little bit different thing that we've got is we have got a phone, but not as we know it. We've got this today. Possibly the worst phone I own. Bought by accident in a job lot. This is pretending to be an American 500 series phone, but the eagle-eyed of you will have spotted that it's got a star and a hash key on it, or a star and a hash place on the dial, which means it's not at all original. So we thought we'd have a look inside this today. I've never took this apart because I was so disinterested in it, shall we say, that I've never bothered taking the top off it to see what's inside this one. So, and I've had it years. So we thought we'd have a look at it today. First thing to tell you is it was apparently originally pink, which a lot of these things were, or are, because they're still made by the thousand, it would seem. So this is what you have to watch for. If you're looking for an American 500 series phone, this is what not to buy. And in fairness to them, if you forgot about those last two holes in the dial there, it's not a bad copy in terms of its shape. Okay, the lettering on here and that isn't right. You know, where they've put like operator backwards and things. But the rest of the shape of it is not too bad at all. So shall we have a look at it and see how bad it is inside? I'm expecting it to be bad, to be honest with you. So let's have a little look. Don't it says at least this is not one of those nasty Chinese resin ones. Yeah, the phones that aren't actually phones, Dominic. Yeah. Christopher 2000 says, you get a new landline that doesn't support pulse dial, only DTMF dialing. That's why I'm converting my GP0706 to DTMF dial. No, you don't need to do that, Chris. What you need to do is get a Panasonic 616 PABX box. It's a box about yay big, and that will allow you to connect up to, I think it's about 16 phones to it. So you can have one in every room, call room to room, and then the output from that box you connect to your new DTMF phone line, and that box will take pulse dialing in, and you can set it so it takes pulse dialing in, and it will do DTMF out to the line, to the network, but it will do pulse dialing all around your house if you want it to. So it'll pulse dial all your other pulse dialing phones, but incoming calls will come in as normal. So yeah, that's the way I do it. Then you can plug lots of phones into it, and you can use it to test phones. So you ring one to another like I do here sometimes, and then it's DTMF going out of your premises, but everything in your premises basically on your side of that Panasonic 616 or other boxes are available, is pulse dialing. That's how I do it. I've got a couple of 616 boxes here. I've not got one handy to show you. The one that I use here at the minute is not a 616. It's what they call a BT Revelation, the one I use here, which is basically British Telecom's version of a similar thing. They just call it a Revelation. It's not a Panasonic one, but it does the same job. Right, so we'll take this scabby phone to bit, shall we? Now, somebody sees painted it black in an attempt to make it a little bit more acceptable, but can we get inside it? It's got all yellow slime inside it, dried up yellow slime, but there you go. There's confirmation it was pink. Doesn't screw off a handset. It's just got some two little plastic pegs inside, one there and one there, that just lock into these things here, so it's not a very secure way of doing it really. But you've probably got, I don't know what sort of microphone that is without taking it all apart, and it's all glued in so it's not easily serviceable. But that's probably an electret microphone in there, which is about the only good thing you can say about it. Right, can I put that back together? Alright, apparently I can. So look in the other end. No, that's a speaker in there, isn't it? This is the electret microphone in this end, of course, because this is the end you're talking to, and you can see there's some kind of nasty block all covered in glue there. I think that is just a connection block, but it's so bad that with the glue I really can't see what it is. But I think that's just where the cord comes in, the connector block, these four things, and the little microphone is in there, glued in there, again potted in this horrible yellow goo. So I don't think we'll go any further into that. So let's have a look what's in the phone itself, shall we? Christopher said, I had one of those telephones you're showing there. I had a long time ago in ivory. Yeah, I think you can get them in ivory. Right, so let's just see what this dial does when you turn it. Haha, it's stuck. But if it wasn't stuck, you'll see it flirts straight back. Not how a dial works at all, because remember, this is basically a push button phone that they've put some kind of interface on to simulate a dial. So it's not a dial at all. Well, guess me, why do they put a British dial label in the middle? And that feels like that's a push button as well. So what does that do when you push that in? Well, they put a, oh, speaker. Is that how you turn the speaker on or something? But why do they put a British thing in the middle of what is supposed to be an American phone? That shows how much the people that make these phones know. Right. Let's turn it over. Have a look on the base. And on the base, and it's something's rattling around inside it as well. Telephone model number STP1960. STP, so is this a steeple tone one then? I wonder if it's STP. STP, I'm wondering if STP stands for steeple tone. Don't know. And it's got a battery compartment here for some reason to put 3 batteries in. I guess that's because it's allegedly a speakerphone, this. So it would probably be quite complex being a speakerphone. There's 3 things on the bottom of it here, 3 little switches here. There's a ringer on and off switch that you can move there, and it all presses in when you try and move it. There's pulse or tone, so this will work with either pulse or tone dialing. And volume, low or high. Okay. But then, how do you get into it? There's a question. Well, there's Phillips screws in each of those. This one's still got its pad on. So I'm guessing there's going to be a Phillips screw under here as well, if I can persuade that off. Yep, looks like we're all little Phillips screws. Phillips screws. Quality. Not. Oops. I'm spilling the blooming bits out the screwdriver now all over the shop. Hang on a sec. Let's see if I can catch those. Where did it go? Bear with me a second. Oh, there's one. Right, I'm back. Right, let us see what we can do. Which of these will fit in it? That one, I think, fits the best, the big one. Okay, okay. I will put the other screwdriver bits back in the end of the screwdriver where they live. And screw the end back on. They're metal, these as well, these screwdrivers, they're quite good. Right, so let's start taking it apart. What's going on in the chat while I'm doing this? Dominic says, there's the finger stop, metal or plastic? Good question, Dominic. I think it's actually metal. And it's got an R on it. Yeah, it's actually... The top bit of it is metal, but it's mounted on a plastic piece on the dial. But yeah, I think it is the bit your finger actually comes up against, I believe, is metal. Probably about the only thing on this phone that is. Nigel Dackins says the middle button would normally be used for the redial facility. Okay. How do you make the speaker thing work then? I thought it was something to do with the speaker, but you could be right. I have no idea. Let's have a little look inside here. Klaus says it's fit for the bin, Andy. You could well be right there, Klaus. If anybody watches Big Clive on YouTube, bigclive.com, people send him electronic rubbish to take apart, basically. I think this may fall into that category. I don't even know if it works. I've never plugged it in, actually, this. What? I've got 139 dropped frames? Why have I got 139 dropped frames, please, YouTube? Right, so I've undone the base. Now I might have to unplug the line cord. I can't unplug the handset cord, but I can unplug the line cord, which is the weediest line cord I have ever seen in my life. Look how thin that is. It's like a piece of cotton for a line cord. Really hopeless. How many cores are there inside it? Just two, a red one and a green one. Right, so there's the line cord for now. Right, so hopefully now it's heavier on the inside than I expected, and here's why. Are you ready for this? Right. Are you ready for the shock? Right. This is quite heavy. It's almost as heavy as a proper phone would be, and there's a reason for that. It's because inside it there's a circuit board, and I can just undo some of these connectors. There's one there that's glued in, so you can't undo it, even though you should be able to undo it. Some idiot has glued it in. You like putting glue on things. They really do like putting glue on stuff. So I can't get that out. But, I don't know if you can see, there's a circuit board here with lots of components on, lots of capacitors and things. But what's it mounted to? A whopping great big lump of rusty metal. Now, I kid you not. That's what. That is what it's mounted onto. So, what have we got? Well, not really sure, to be honest with you, but I would guess that most of the actual telephone gubbins is probably in that little bit on the back of that dial there. I've got a bell, obviously. Where do the bell wires go? Oh, the bell wires go into this. Now the bell wires go into this little circuit board down here, this little board down here, this one, this long thin one, because if I wiggle them about there, you'll see them at the other end doing things. So they go into this, which is wiggles about at one end because the screw that should hold it down is broken. But let's see if I can undo this screw. What's on the back of it, and it doesn't want to undo because of course it's just, the screw is just jammed into plastic and forced to make its own hole and cut its own thread, because they don't do anything like making proper tapped holes for screws. So I take that out. I don't need to take the one out at the other end because that one's broke off anyway. Oh, and that's just the switches. That's just the three switches that poke through the base then. So that's why the switch was going in. That's why the switch was going in as I pressed it in, because that is broken. That bit there, that bit there, that is broken off. That should be a standoff that's on the plastic base. So they're just the switches. So the bell wires that go to the switch then must then go back up this little grey ribbon cable and back into this lot somewhere. So maybe it is the phone, some of the phone gubbins in here, but it's just ridiculous how many little electronic components there are in there that really don't need to be there. And this goo is everywhere. Look at it, tons of it fell out. It looks sticky, but it's not actually. It's dried up over the years. It's a little bit bendy, but it's not really sticky. So if I pump that back in there and put that little screw back in, then we'll pretend we didn't take that out. So there's three little slidey switches there that may be worth a few pence each for another project perhaps. I've gone a miss with me. With my screw there. And again. This is horrid to work on. Yeah, who said it was fit for the bin? Yeah. Yeah, close. Yeah, I think you were right, close. I do think you were right. Don't make it. He has to say the trim phone replicas don't look too bad, but why spend £40 on one when the real deal can be had cheaper? even ready converted. Yes, exactly. That's exactly my thought, Dominic. And the thing is, they don't look too bad, the trim foam replicas, but what's inside them? Is it a load of junk like this that's in there? Oh, I'm going to... I mean, the base of the thing, here's the base of the thing, you see. Right. You see how it flexes? Mainly because somebody's put a big chunk of metal. I mean, you could probably take that big chunk of metal down the scrapyard and get a bob or two for that, because it's quite heavy. Big chunk of cast iron or something. Cast steel, perhaps. It's definitely metal, though. One thing that is quite useful is a socket here for an RJ connector. And these bells, these little bells are quite handy. I have seen these bells or something very similar to them be put into other phones that haven't got them, phones that would normally not have them, things like Jubilees and stuff like that. I have seen bells like this be put into those, so I may harvest the bell out of this. And we've also got an 8 ohm 0.5 watt speaker in here as well, and I'm wondering how many ohms is the speaker in a stylophone. Could that speaker be used in a stylophone? Because I have got an old stylophone that needs a speaker, needs a new speaker. One of my collection of vintage stylophones. So, and that's looking about the right size, that speaker. I wonder if I could harvest that to go in the stylophone. But just look how the curly cord terminates. The curly cord comes in and it's just held under a washer, under a screw. There's no proper strain relief built into the end of it, and then the cord just come out and all go into a gooey, glued mess on the circuit board. You wouldn't be able to change the cord. You wouldn't be able to change the curly cord, because they're all just in a glued in mess on the circuit board. Yeah, it's terrible. It really is pretty damn poor, I have to say. And then inside here, well, you've got this weird dial, which basically, probably some kind of light sensor or something. What they normally have, I'm not sure about this one, they normally have some kind of disc with marks on it, you know, sort of lines, black and see-through lines, and then some kind of light sensor, and depending on how far you wind the dial round depends on how many of these black lines it counts as it goes back past the light sensor, and that's how it knows what tone to generate. That's why it goes back really fast. It doesn't actually step back like a proper dial. It just does this really fast and ridiculous like that. And there is glue coming out. It's everywhere. It's just insane. So, yeah. And in here, this tiny little thing here is a micro switch. And your switch hooks, it's just a plastic mechanism that presses on that tiny micro switch. And of course it all moves around as well. I don't know if you can see that. You can see the whole thing's moving. Again, the height of quality. Not. Right. Shall we try and put it back together? rubbish everywhere. Fat Hobbit says it's terrible. I couldn't agree more with you. And Christopher says, I was watching the UK TV programme Love Thy Neighbour when Eddie Booth cuts his neighbour's GPO 746 handset cord in half. I'm hoping it was a fake handset cord they used for the episode. Yeah, Love Thy Neighbour was contemporary to 746, as I remember that being on TV here in the 1970s. It's not politically correct now, I think, is the way they would term Love Thy Neighbour. We have a lot of TV shows from the 70s that were quite good. It Ain't Half Hot Mum being another one with Windsor Davies in. That they seem to think for various reasons are not politically correct anymore, so they never show them. But yeah, Love Thy Neighbour was good. There was a film of Love Thy Neighbour as well that was, I believe, on a boat. Part of it was on a boat. Yeah, set on a cruise ship. But yeah, I think it was on ITV, Love Thy Neighbour. Lots of it, Windsor Davies, Ain't Half Hot Mum, that was on the BBC. Right, that was that way around, wasn't it? I think. No, it was all the way around. That way around. It only goes in one way. That goes in there. And then, the one thing that ought to be glued in and isn't, is this little RJ connector thing, and that's just flapping around. So, I've got to somehow reinsert that back in the back of the phone. How was that? Oh, like that. That's it. And then hopefully I can put it all back down like that, turn it over and put those 4 screws back in. I might even try it. The sound quality will probably be alright on it actually. Right, I'm just catching up on the chat. Dominic says, I thought the governor was broke for a moment. It's shocking that it's designed to be like that. Yeah, closest, don't bother. Fat Hobbit says, bleh. Yeah, yeah. But indeed, I think luckily this did come in a batch with some other things, so the money that I spent, I'm saying that I actually spent the money to get the other phones that were in the batch, not this. That's how I'm making myself feel better about having bought it. But it is nasty, isn't it? I wonder how heavy it'd not be if we took that lump of steel out. It's in there. Right, and stick its 1 foot back on that it's got. Right. Where did I put that rubbishy line cord? It's over here. It has got the relevant UK connector on one end, it has got things to plug into an American phone on to the end. So we will now, I think, plug that in like so, and then we'll find something to connect all this lot up to. So plug the line cord back in there, we'll turn it back over, we'll see if any more rubbish is going to drop out of it. Look at all that. It's like amber. Like amber. If I find a mosquito in some of that, I might be able to start Jurassic Park. Right. Let me see if I can find something to plug into now then. That thing. Right, theoretically now it's on. And unbelievably there is a tone on it. Right, if I dial this phone on my desk, it does nothing. Absolutely nothing. I dial and it does nothing. Right, shall we try it the other way? Shall we try and ring it? Right, I'm ringing it and nothing's happening. Picked up and still nothing's happening. I think I'm ringing the right number there, aren't I? I'm not sure. Now that's 20. This is 21, this phone that I'm on. Now if I plug this back together, I believe this is for 22. Now 22 should ring. It doesn't. Right. Or is it 23 even? Yeah, 23. Right, it's 23. So I'll plug it in again and we'll try again. It's on extension 23, so I'll plug it in again and we'll have another go. Now rig extension 23 on my proper phone and I'll pick the other one up. Oh, and it stops ringing when I pick it up, so I can actually if I talk down one, I can actually get to the other. But the dial's not working, is it? Of course, if I dial 23, nothing happens. So let's have a look underneath here again. It's set on pulse dialing at the minute, so let's put it onto tone dialing. Let's see if the tone dialing bit of it works. Absolutely nothing. So the dial is foobarred on it. Works apart from the fact the dial is foobarred on it. So looks like this phone is faulty, which is probably why I've got it. I mean, it probably was faulty, and that's why it's been painted black. It's probably been used as some sort of theatre prop or something. So there you have it. Basically, I will plug my nice green 746 that's down there back into number 23, and this will forget about for some considerable length of time, I think. But there you have it. That is what not to buy off eBay, and the way to spot them is look for the star and the hash on them, and that's what not to buy on eBay. Right, I will wrap it back up. Pippa the dog is here. Do you want this phone, Pippa the dog? Do you want to go outside? Is that what you want? I'll just let Pippa the dog outside. I think she wants to go now. Come go. Good girl. Hurry up and come back then. Right, so Pippa's nipped outside. So that's that. I'll be finding little bits of like amber resin or whatever forevermore, won't I now? Need to tidy my desk up anyway, so that's all right. I'll just catch up with the chat. Dominic says, if YouTube made retro telephones, it would be one of these. Yeah, it probably would, Dominic, actually. Yeah, it works about as well as. Fingers crossed we're not doing bad tonight so far. We've been on, the stream's been on air apparently, fingers crossed, for an hour and 9 minutes and 47 seconds so far. Although I've not been on for that long, because remember we had that thing with the music at the beginning, because I was just testing it. And I realised I was going to be late. But you should know by now, I'm nearly always late. Christopher says, that phone should be going, the dial on that phone should be going back slower when you dial. If it was a proper dial, yes. But these modern dials that work in an entirely different way, because all they are basically is a sensor, they do go boom back. They don't, because why bother slowing them down? It's cheaper for them to just go boom, because they don't have to put like a governor or anything in them. Claus says, made in China. Nigel Dickens says, probably need the batteries inserted. I kind of assumed they were just for the speakerphone, but you may have got a point there. You may have got a point. Have you popped some batteries in? No, I haven't. And I haven't got any handy, but I will in the week. I'll put some batteries in and I'll report back next week as to what's happened. If the batteries have indeed brought it into life. But I've got a nasty feeling they probably won't, but we'll give it a go. But I just haven't got any to hand, because in a phone workshop the last thing you expect to need is batteries, because who's ever heard of putting the batteries in a telephone? So yeah, yes, not brilliant, but there you go. So yeah, I think we'll have to make up next week with a proper phone or something on next week instead of that nasty one. There's also another thing. What was I? Oh yeah, I was on the Repair Cafe live stream on Thursday evening, and the Repair Cafe live stream is actually a thing that we do on Zoom. On a Thursday night. I will give you the Zoom meeting number in a few moments if any of you want to join it. And I had one of these crimpy tools on it to crimp a UK plug onto a phone line. Now this is a similar one for Ethernet cables and for American RJ connectors. You put them in the top there. I've not tried this one yet. But this one, allegedly, is for UK. And the thing that struck me, I'll bring this nasty phone back up again for a minute. Now this is a different, slightly different one to the one that I tried the other day, but I'm going to try this one as well because I never actually used it in earnest. There's a thing on this crimp here that comes up. I don't know if you can see it on, which camera am I on? There. Right, I don't you see this thing here that moves up. Yeah. That is supposed to push on this little bit here where my thumbnail is in the tool to crimp it. So you're supposed to put that in there like that, and this one will work and crimp down like that. Yeah. And the one I've got upstairs in the loft, you know, and we normally sometimes do a show from the loft like that. See, the one I've got in the loft, it's a slightly different design perhaps, and you can't actually fit this in far enough to crimp it in the right place. It doesn't work at all. Because it was still in the packet, and I thought it was exactly the same as this one, because it looks exactly the same with the yellow handles and everything. And I just took it upstairs, left it still in the packet from when I got it off eBay. Because I lost this one, couldn't find it, so I went out and bought another, and then I found this one, so then I took the other one upstairs into the loft. Never used it in the packet. I was trying to demonstrate how you do it on this Repair Cafe Zoom meeting thing on Thursday night. Put that in and it just didn't go in, it just didn't fit. So if you buy one of these off eBay and they don't fit in, you're not entirely going mad. There is a chance some of them that are for sale out there, they're just not the right thing somehow. They just don't work, they just don't fit, and I could not do it for love nor money. So yeah, some of them's good, some of them's not so good. But yeah, I just thought I'd tell you that because I saw this on the desk and thought, yeah, if anybody's got one of those and thinking, why can't I fit this in? Well, that's why. It's not you that's going mad, it's the thing that's wrong. It's the tool that's wrong. So I just thought I'd share that with you. Right, I'll put this horrid phone away again. Right, so are we about there for tonight? I feel my pizza calling me, not my tea yet. Right, let's see. We've got. I just want to say a big thanks to everybody for watching all these as well, because there's lots of you guys out there that watch this show now, and it really is helping us to get there. When we get to 1,000. Then we can start monetising the videos again. And when we can start monetising the videos, then we'll be able to do a bit more, perhaps. That's when we get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed already on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching on, subscribe, please, because you might be watching us on Library. But yeah, if you're watching us particularly on YouTube, please subscribe. And if you want to get notifications about when we're on, hit that little bell icon as well. Although it didn't seem to work tonight. That it normally does, but it didn't tonight. Filebit says thanks for the live stream this week. Christopher 2000 says, Andy, did you get my picture of Ericsson and 1240A I sent? I can't remember, Christopher, to be honest, but I probably have. I've had some from you today of the Signal Post phone. Dominic says, I'll send some photos of the Bell Set 26 in its original location in the house I found it in. Its original location in the house I found it in. So you didn't find it in your house then, Dominic, you found it in somebody else's house. I got one that way as well. I found it in somebody else's house. So if I paint your ceiling, can I take that down up there? Dominic says, thanks Andy for featuring my 232. Not at all, Dominic. I really like your 232. I think that's pretty good. That it does look good. What did you do for the dial label in the middle? Because the dial label looks artificially aged, and I know there is somebody that sells them, and they're kind of printed like that. You know, the kind of printed, stained. You can do it with tea if you really want to do it. I know one sort of props people that work in film and television and that, if they want to make an old piece of paper, or rather make a new piece of paper that looks old, what they do is they stain it with cold tea, and that makes it look like that. But I never put an old one. I never put an old stained one in mine, because when I restore a phone, my theory is that I'm trying to make it look like new, so I always put a newish looking one in. But it's alright. It says Maida Vale on it. 1246 is it? Maida Vale, is it? Looking. Yeah. But it's a nice one. Is that a dial 12 it's got, or a dial 10? Because originally they had dial 10s, and I can't tell just from looking at it. I don't know if you can tell just from looking at it. The dial label is original to the phone, says Dominic. It could be. It could be. Or it could be a very good repro one that somebody's put in. Have you tried putting the thing in the other side, says Nigel. Yeah, Nigel, I have. It can only go in one side because... Hang on. It can only go in one side because it has to crimp down on there. I don't know if you can see on this camera or not, but on there's metal teeth that come there, and those metal teeth have to crimp onto the metal ends of the plug, so it can only go in one way. It can only go in from the other side. So from this side it has to go in, and where is it? From this side it has to go in and come through there. So it comes out here and just sticks out a little bit, so when you close it, those metal teeth clamp down on the thing. You can't put it in the other way. And of course on the other side as well, there's this bit that clamps on the collar of the thing, sort of thing, to clamp the plastic together. So it's kind of foolproof which way you put it in. But that other one that I've got is just, I don't know if it's put together wrong somehow, all this mechanism is put together wrong, or if it's just the wrong thing they've sent me. But it just doesn't work for some reason. Fat Hobbit says, what's on the reverse, Dominic? The reverse of that dial label? That's a good question. Dominic says, I've taken it apart and it has the trigger pulse mechanism. So dial 12. Pasted on the reverse of the dial label is the later 60 style one with a 01 number. Yeah, it's not an original one then, I wouldn't say. I'd say it's one that somebody's put in, a phony one. I thought it looked a bit too brown. Yeah, that dial label. Yeah, I don't think it's original, Dominic. That, I think that's one somebody's put in. That GPO wouldn't put one in and leave another one in, and they certainly won't put an older one in place of a newer one, and that. So I think I'm just suspicious it's a little bit too brown. You know, they've overdone the aging on it. Like film people overdo aging on things. So yeah, but yeah, I don't think it's the. If it's the original one, it'll be fairly stiffish card. It'll not be paper. If it's a repro one, it could well be. They often are. So yeah, but it is a nice thing. I do like it. It is a good phone, that. I shall be interested to see the Bell Set 26 in its original location. Right, I think we're almost as far as we go for today. Christopher says, I got my GPO junction box for my GPO 706. See, one of those little ones, I'm guessing that is. And Dominic says, I might go for one of the older style labels to match the mid-40s production date. Okay, is that... trying to think what it would have had originally, that. I'm not sure what it would have had originally, that. That is a fairly old style label though, isn't it? It's like, that style label went out in what? Did it go out sort of when the 706 came in? And they started with the grey labels. About the time the 706 came in, about 1959, 1960-ish? Or did they change the labels later? I'm not sure. Yeah, Christopher says that the little junction box is the one that he's got. But yeah, let us know how you get on, Dominic, with your continued restoration of it, and yeah, we'll see how we go. We'll have to get you on CNET, then we can call 232 to 232. That'd be quite good, wouldn't it? Right. I think that is about it for this week. Unless anybody's got any questions or anything they want to ask before we wrap it up. Dominic says he's got a 63 706 which has that style, which is pretty sure is original. I can't imagine it would be, because if you've got a 706 from 1963 and it's got that old dial label in it, that 706 would have stayed in service with the GPO longer than 1963, and I'm sure they would have fitted a grey label to it. So if it's now got an older label in, a 706, I would have thought that's a label somebody's put back in later, I would have thought. But it's only a guess. It is only a guess. Christopher says, I connected to the line cord from the 706 and I screwed to the wall. Yes, that's exactly what you should do, Christopher. Those little junction boxes, which actually came as part of the phone when the engineer installed the phone. All you had, if you had a B, well, not a BT, it would have been GPO then. If you had a GPO line with no phone on the end of it, all you would have had, I believe I'm right in saying, is a cable, that probably went through your window ledge or something, into your house, with two wires coming out of it. Now, your cord from your phone, your coloured cord from your phone that goes to that little box that you've just bought, that little junction box that you've bought, that would have, depending on the era, either 3 or 4 cores to it: a green, a blue, a red and a white. The red and the white are the line, the legs of the line, which would go to the two wires coming from your drop cable that's come through your windowsill. But because we also have this bell wire, what they used to do was, in that little junction box, bridge over between, I can't remember if it was the white or the red one that they bridged to the green one originally to make the bells work. So that they were bridged together. Now when we do it now and we take those junction boxes out and we put a cable onto the phone with a normal modern British plug on, that's one of the reasons why we put extra jumpers in the phone, because that jumping of things together that was done in that box, obviously the box isn't there to do it. So although that box has a 3 or 4 core cable to your phone, there's actually only 2 wires coming from your windowsill thing. It depends how you want to do it, how you want to wire it, whether you want to do it, well, you obviously don't want to do it modern GPO system or modern BT system, because then you'd have a socket and you'd plug into a socket on the wall. But the old way of doing it, that little box that you've bought, that little sort of oblong junction box with the curved corners on it, that should be the same colour as your phone, by the way, that would have the little grommet on one end, the little rubber grommet on one end, with the coloured cord to your phone going through it. But on the other end, it doesn't have a rubber grommet in the other end. The other end should just be flat, and you should be a little gap underneath it to poke the line cord in underneath it, and just terminate the drop cable, line cord, whatever you want to call it, the line from your provider straight into there. It shouldn't have that little rubber strain relief thing on that side of it. It should only be on the phone side, not on the line side of the box. On the line side of the box, the wire just goes into the box and just screws to the terminals. But then the box screws to the wall then. And a lot of them, when people had their phones updated and that and upgraded and that, and had the new sockets put in for the plug and socket system, a lot of those little boxes just got the wires cut and got left in place. So if you go into an old house in the UK now, you can often look round and find one of those boxes still screwed to the skirting board somewhere. It's quite common to find them still, so they are still around. Right, looking at the chat again down here, because I've got my phone plugged in. The battery's not too good on it. Christopher says, I'll send a picture of the junction box later. Okie dokie. It says the pulse to tone converter uses like a phone jack, so the phone plugs straight into it. Yeah, there's road to tone and there's dial gizmo, and I can never remember which one's which. One goes inside your phone and you have to convert your phone and put some gubbins inside your phone. The other one, like you say, is just a plug-in thing, and I believe it's made in Australia, the one that's just a plug-in thing. So it's probably easier for you to get hold of than it is for us. But one's Rotatone and one's Dial Gizmo. I have a feeling the one that's a box is a Dial Gizmo. And the one that actually goes inside the phone is a Rotatone. The one that goes inside the phone isn't so good. It works, but you have to modify your phone, and if you want to use a different phone, then of course you have to take it all out and put it in a different phone. The one that's just a box that plugs between your phone and your wall jack, you know, it is just a box. It is doing essentially what the Panasonic 616 or other PABXs do, which is pulse to tone conversion. So it's just a box that's doing that, but without any of the other things that the Panasonic can do, like having multiple lines and stuff. Christopher says he's got an RJ12 connected to the junction box. I'm not quite sure how you've done that. An RJ connector shouldn't be involved anywhere in that, if you want to do it the original way. They weren't invented when those junction boxes, well, they probably were invented in the US and probably were being used in the US, but they certainly weren't being used in Britain when those boxes were around. Right. Okay. That's about it, I think. That is, as they say in the trade, a wrap. Thanks to everybody who has been here and watching today, and indeed taking part in the chat. It's good that we've got such an active chat community, I think. Nice to see everybody on the show, and I hope that you will be able to join us again next week. It's work tonight, says he, keeping his fingers crossed. So hopefully it might work again next week. We'll see how we get on. And it now says I've got no drop frames, so not quite sure what's happened there. But thanks for watching the show. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, as I say, if you want to get in touch with us and you don't know the email address already, go to the website and click the contact us form on there. I can't give you the email address out over here, because if I do I get a ton of spam on it, but you'll find a contact form on the website. andyshed.coldpress.net is the place to go and find that. And also remember, if you want any phone bits, there's a few listed. There's going to be more coming soon, but there's a few listed at the moment at andysemporium.coldpress.net. Again, click on the shop there and you will see what's available. So all that remains for me to do is to say thanks for watching, thanks for taking part. I'll be back around about the same time, same place next week, around about 6 o'clock-ish on Sunday evening UK time. So until next time, Repair Cafe, if you want to take part in the Repair Cafe Zoom event, the virtual Repair Cafe, where we talk about fixing all kinds of things, not just telephones, but all kinds of things being repaired and how to do it, and sometimes have demonstrations on how to do it and stuff like that. If you want to take part in that on Thursday, it starts at 7 p.m. UK time, around about 7 till 8 p.m. UK time on Thursday. Log into Zoom and put in this meeting number, 806 999 4444. I'll give you that again. It's just log into Zoom as normal and then put in the meeting number, 806 999 4444, and then you can chat to us live, and we can even see you on that as well, because it's Zoom. So maybe we'll see some of you there on Thursday. Other than that, we'll see you back here next Sunday. Right, ta-ra for now.